Alright, so first of all, I just want to say hi everybody and hope you're in pretty good shape. And obviously you probably can't wait coming back to school like me. Yeah, right, I can hear your excitement. Anyway, in this video I decided to help the 4th grade students with the oral part of their final exam. I'm gonna give you some tips you might appreciate for that speaking part of your graduation exam. The speaking section takes 15 minutes and counts for 25% of your total score. I got a few things for you to remember. During this section, before exam, you're gonna have 20 minutes to prepare your answers. So please take your time while preparing, and you are welcome to bring your notes with you. It is highly recommended to speak clearly and pronounce your words well, so that the person who is listening knows what you want to say. Please do not mumble. It's always better to speak slowly and properly than to speak too quickly and the person who is listening doesn't know what you are saying. And now, this rule might be considered golden for you guys. Never ever use any Czech word. If you can't remember an English word, for example, if you can't recall the word skyscraper, try to say something like, it's a very tall building with a lot of stories, instead of using Czech vocabulary word. If you don't understand the question, just say, excuse me, could you ask that again? Or would you repeat the question, please? Also, always be polite and use short answers. But don't only say yes or no, because it could be considered rude. Instead of saying only yes or no, say yes I do, or no I don't. This is a way more polite and shows you know some grammar. It is very important to communicate with the examiners. Don't worry if they're gonna be writing tons of notes on their piece of paper. It's their job, and they might be just taking notes on the good stuff you are saying, what kind of vocabulary you are using, and some examples of grammatical structures. There aren't only writing mistakes, so don't be nervous if you see them writing a lot. This is absolutely alright. So that's it for giving you some general tips. And now we're gonna move on to part 1 of the speaking section. Part 1 is actually a question and answer part. And it's pretty short. You're gonna be asked from 4 to 6 questions in this part. You're gonna be asked about the general topic from everyday life, and you're gonna know the topic, but not the questions. So during the preparation, think about the topic and a possible vocabulary connected with that topic. Listen carefully to the questions, as the question is gonna tell you what grammar you need to use. So for example, if the question is, did you go to the pub yesterday? You're gonna know you're supposed to use the past simple in your answer. If you need some time to think about your reply, let the examiner know. So for example, say something like, oh, let me think about that. Or, that's an interesting question. It's hard to say. Or it depends. If you can't answer the question, let the examiner know, so you can move on to another question. There is not much time in the first part. You only have a few minutes to answer the questions. So remember to answer briefly, use short answers, and do not go into detail. For example, if you get a question, do you like traveling? Say yes I do. I travel abroad 10 times a year. My favorite destination is Croatia. And that's it. Okay, so time to go to part 2 of your exam. In this part, you're going to be asked to describe a picture. Your task is to pick one picture out of the 2 and describe it. You should speak on your own, and as you're preparing for your exam, think about some of the language that you might use in advance. If you have trouble thinking of things to say, there are a few questions you can answer. If you go through who, what, where, what are they doing, and why, what do they look like, how was the atmosphere. So for example, I can look at one picture and say, there's a girl and boy, she's wearing a dress, he's wearing some traditional clothes, it's sunny, and that's why they're outside. She has her hands on her hips, and he's holding something that looks like a stick. I think it's probably Easter in the Czech village. They both look happy, because it's a holiday. Some of the language that I would highly recommend you to use is the grammar structure there is and there are. We use this to describe a picture or a situation in general. For example, there are some bikes and there's an accident. And this is gonna be another golden rule for you guys. Remember, we always say in the picture. Never ever say on the picture. That's in Czech. Always use present continuous tense to describe the action and what's going on in the picture. For example, you can say something like, kids are having a lot of fun, or he's jumping into the water. If it's not clear what's happening, or you're unsure, you can use language that shows it's a guess, or your opinion. You can also express your opinion by saying, I guess, or I think, or in my opinion, or according to me. Do not forget to add some kind of a reason for your opinion by using because. Don't worry about expressing doubts. It's perfectly okay to say, I can't see clearly what's happening there, but this is what I think. In this part, you're going to be also asked to compare those 2 pictures. Don't just describe the second picture, but compare them. First look at what's similar, and then give some differences between the 2 pictures by using comparative adjectives. For example, you can say, in the first picture, people look happier, and the weather is sunnier than in the second picture. Don't forget, you can also use language like to, also, but, on the other hand, to show the differences. So you can say, in the first picture, they look quite happy because it's sunny. But on the other hand, many people love Christmas, even though the weather isn't as great. And now, time to go to part 3 of your speaking section. This part is different in every school. Schools mostly involve information about English-speaking countries, Czechia, or significant cities. In this part, you're going to be talking on your own for about 5 minutes. Imagine that. That's a pretty long time. You're going to have materials such as maps or photos to help you illustrate your speech. This is the only part of the speaking exam where knowledge of facts and specific information is tested. And finally, let's go to the wire. We got the last part of your speaking exam, part 4. You're going to be doing a dialogue in this part. This is different from the previous part, where the examiner asks you questions and you answer. Here, it's very important for both the examiner and the student to exchange ideas and come to an agreement together. So make sure you are not only answering questions, but you are making suggestions. And also agree or disagree. If you want to make a suggestion, you can use language like, why don't we? What about? Or let's go. Feel free asking the opinion of the examiner as well. You can use language such as, what do you think? What would you prefer? Does it sound okay to you? And also, if you agree or disagree with the examiner's suggestions, feel absolutely free saying that. For example, if you agree, you can say, I totally agree. That sounds great. Sure. Why not? Or just I agree. Or you totally disagree by saying, for example, I don't think that idea will work because, and you gotta give reason. And then don't forget to suggest an alternative. At the end of part 4, you're gonna always be asked to summarize what agreement you have come to. So at this part, you go back and mention the points that you have come to with the examiner. So for example, we both agreed to meet at this place, this time, you're gonna bring these items, we're gonna be doing these activities. Alright guys, I hope you're gonna appreciate some of the tips I just gave you and you're gonna make it in the finals. Thank you for your attention.